Oh,
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Oh, okay. How you doing?
bro, why?
Yeah.
How do I get the Colin? How do I get the I got it. Never mind. I don't need you.
To record?
Yeah, I don't need you. Yeah, I got
Okay.
it. No,
Thank you.
the I had the thing on the side up
Oh, okay.
and I couldn't. Can you hear us all right, Jack?
Yeah, everything's all good.
All right, cool. We're gonna get started here in a second. Bro, Colin, I have the flyers on the TV to like my left, and like we have YouTube TV, so it's so delayed, and I heard like a score from like the other room, so but they didn't score. It was just a waste of time. All right, let's get started here. Today we have another very special guest joining us on the show. He's the current producer for the John Marks and Ike Reese Show, which you can listen to every weekday on 94.1 WIP. He's also the host of the High Hopes and the Art of the Take podcast. Jack Fritz, thank you for coming on, man.
What's up, guys? How you doing? I can't believe I'm doing a podcast on a North Penn thing. You know, I mean, you guys cheat at sports every year. I mean, no class should have 1,000 people in it. So I think it's ridiculous that North Penn sports even count. So, I'm surprised I'm on this, but at least it's not Hatboro Horsham.
Okay, wait, hold on. Real quick, Tyler, because I know how you want the flow of this to go. Our teacher, when we first brought up your name, actually vividly remembered you because of on Twitter, you remember a couple months ago during the pandemic when they were doing the Team of the Decade.
Uh-huh.
So on May 11th, it was 2013 North Penn versus 2012 Hatboro Horsham. And North Penn ended up winning the poll 51% to 49%. And you left in the comments, anyone that votes for Hatboro Horsham team is a joke.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that a nod to how good the North Penn team was? Or do you hate Hatboro Horsham that much? And if you hate them so much, why do you hate them?
No, so they knocked us out of my high school playoffs in 2012. So we lost to the Hatboro team, but we were up 4-1 in the seventh as the I think we were the 8th seed and they were the 1 seed. And we were up 4-1 and blew a 3-run lead in the seventh. And I don't like to talk about it, so I'm not even close to being over it. I was not on the mound, so don't make that joke. I pitched game 1. Okay, the Aces all started game 1. I did not start game 2 of the playoffs. We lost to Hatboro. They walked us off on a balk, I think, or no, on a walk. We walked off on a walk. That's how we lost. That's how my high school career ended to that Hatboro team that we we were winning the game. Like, we should have won the game. So, and one of my buddies played on the 2013 North Penn team. So I was trying to support him as well.
They actually did say in the comments, the official Hatboro Horsham baseball team responded to your comment saying, I would love to know why you feel that way. I understand we ended your high school career, but there was a lot of talent on that team.
Yes, I know they're talented. They're the number 1 team in the state that year. Also, like, it's definitely not that serious. Hatboro Horsham Twitter account. Like, we're just having some fun. And I knew a couple kids in that team, so like I had a little back and forth. But I don't think I'll ever get over that loss. And I will never. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm never stepping foot in Hatboro Horsham ever again.
So as I'm sure you know, we interviewed Marks a couple weeks ago after Colin's call in on Doug Peterson Day, and he just spoke so highly of you on that show that we just knew we had to have you on as a guest.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, I wouldn't be where I am today without Mark. So it's been a pleasure working with him. I think it's a funny show. I think we have a fun show. And yeah, I went back and listened to it. So it was a funny listen for sure. And that was the day that Colin committed to Stevenson on the show, that we bullied him into committing on the show, because I mean, you're not going to call in and say I'm committing on Friday, or whatever, when like you can just commit to people that actually listen. You can go up, broadcast it to the entire area.
As the producer, do you pick how long, like, do you cut off like the call-ins? Because Colin was on there for a long time.
Yeah, I no. So what I do is if I put the guys I trust at the top more. And nothing against Colin. I just didn't know Colin at the time. It ended up being a really fun call, so I'm glad he hung on there. But if it's like a first time caller, unless it's they're like very engaging on the phone, I don't generally put them up there. I put the guys that like ultimately we're doing a radio show and it's for entertainment, and we want to it's not just for people that want to get on the air, it's also for the people listening. So like I try to put the callers that I know like kind of where they're going up first, or towards the top. So it really depends. I mean, if it's a slow day, we have more freedom on the phones, but like when we're honed in on a topic, it's pretty much just we want you to keep on the topic. Like we don't want you to start talking Sixers or Flyers. If we're talking Eagles, talk Eagles. So it's interesting. It's an interesting process that I still learn about every day.
I think they need more people. I mean, sometimes you call at 2:15 and you're not on until 5:30. The wait time's a little heavy sometimes. So I don't know.
It can be a little.
I think you need to speed up a little there, Jack. I don't know if you're really doing that great of a job.
Well, that's because maybe I'm putting callers that I trust ahead of the people that started at 2:15. But I don't know. It really just depends. And then sometimes I forget how long people have been holding. So then I feel bad. But I try not to have people hold that long, unless it's like a personal vendetta thing for me, where it's like I don't feel like dealing with you today, so I'll put you on hold. But generally we try not to make people wait too long. But I also think people have to understand that we have pretty much the whole show. We have a full board, which is 9 callers, and we take maybe 5 callers an hour. So it will take a little while. Like there's some people who wait like a half hour and they'll drop and they'll call me right back and they'll say, I waited a half hour. Why didn't I get on the air? It's like, well, that's not that long. Like it's not too long. I mean, people wait a lot longer than that to get on the air. So so I could probably do a better job sometimes. And I'm sorry I made you wait.
Are you also in charge of the soundboard and sound effects that go in?
Yeah. So I have the drop board right in front of me. And Mark's also has access to a drop board. But for the most part, it's me, except when Mark's plays that Doug drop. That's the long that I hate. It's a really funny drop. It's a funny drop. It goes on like a second too long in my head. But yeah, both me and him have the drop board, but it's primarily me putting in the drops.
Because me and Tyler have been probably laughing for like 2 weeks straight at the 2 years varsity little drop. That's one of like our favorites. Like I think it's just a really funny clip.
Yeah, it's hard to use that one because the only time I really use it is when a guy will call in. My favorite Marks is when someone will call in and be like, "Did you even play football?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I played."
I was driving to the gym like maybe a day or two before I called in, and they're like talking about how Doug Peterson shouldn't have been fired, like Carson's the problems. And Marks is like, the caller I think was like, Marks, did you even play football? He's like, no, I didn't. And Marks was like, did you? And he's like, yeah, I played in high school or something like that. Like as if that like validates like his opinion or something.
Right. Oh, that's my favorite call. My favorite caller is the guy who played in high school that wants to talk like with Ike about 2 guys that played the game, or the guy that starts off the call like, yeah, I've been a season ticket holder since 1965. It's like, cool. I mean, awesome. But yeah, no, I love because sometimes Marks will play along. He'd be like, yeah, I was a stud in 8th grade, but the coach didn't get me in. And I always think that's hilarious. And then whenever they talk about, yeah, I was a middle linebacker in Ridley High School in like 1986, and then I dropped the 2 years varsity thing. So it has to be a well-timed drop. It's not one you can use every day.
So being in high school, like Colin and I are, we're aspiring journalists and broadcasters. And what we like to do with the guests that we have on is just pick their brains and find out how they got into the position that you're in now. But before we start, we're going to switch it up a little bit for you. We want to start off with your high school and college baseball career because we touched on that already.
Okay.
So what was your high school and Bloomsburg baseball career like? Because I know it's something that Ike and John like to rip on you a lot on the show for.
Yeah, it's disappointing how much they rip on me for my college career. They don't. Well, Ike understands. John doesn't understand how hard it is to make it to become a college athlete. It takes a lot of work. It's a grind. Okay, and I was on scholarship, even though I ended up being one of the biggest busts in Bloomsburg history. But my high school career was legendary. I mean, I mean, I was honored, like I was all league my junior and senior year. I didn't throw overwhelmingly hard, but I threw hard enough. But yeah, my high school career was good. I mean, I'm 2-0 in the high school playoffs, which is all that matters. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was a lot of fun. I missed it a lot. Like not playing high school sports is like the worst. And I know you guys are going through that now. You guys are both seniors?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, playing high school sports is the best. Like even when you play in college, like you become friends with those guys and whatnot. But like in high school, you guys grow up together. So we all grew up together, playing together, and unfortunately, that Hatboro team had to end it. But my college career was pretty terrible. Like I got there and my best pitch was my cutter, and I had no idea how, but I forgot how to throw it. And it's not like I didn't have the grip or whatever. It's just I somehow just lost it, and I could never get it back during my time there. So I lost some velocity. Also, I threw a ton heading into college, which was dumb. Like my whole summer heading into college, I was like still pitching when I should have shut it down. And so I entered college, like I was down 4 miles an hour from what I usually was. I know it sounds like a lot of excuse making, and it definitely is a lot of excuse making, but I don't know what happened. Like I just forgot how to almost throw a baseball. And like my first they put me in the first game of the year. We'd just been on a bus for 8 hours, and they put me in a tie game in my first ever college appearance, and I blew it. So it was just downhill from the start. It did not turn around. It did not go well. Don't look at the stats. My career.
I have the stats, so we can get into
Listen, am I lying? Am I lying? They're not good.
Do you know what your career ERA is?
9.4.
I have the Bloomsburg site has 8.94.
Better than 9.4. It's better than 9.4.
13 strikeouts as well.
Well, listen, I'm the strikeout pitcher. I think did I have 6 walks?
Yeah,
6.
Yeah,
it was bad. It wasn't the college career that I had envisioned. That's for sure. But I mean, I don't think I would be where I am today without playing college sports. I mean, it teaches you, fundamental like discipline and showing up on time and all that good stuff and work ethic, I guess, even though didn't work the hardest in college. But it was all well worth it, even though it didn't go the way I had planned.
Now, did you only play the 2 years?
Yeah, and then I played 2 years, and then I genuinely felt bad taking scholarship money. Like, so I was like, I can't justifiably take this because I'm terrible right now. So I was like, all right, I'm done. I don't want to take your money, and I did want to focus on radio, and yeah, it ended up working out pretty well.
I'm guessing Markel Fultz was one of your favorite athletes, since you could relate so heavily.
I know. Well, no, in my Twitter bio, it was I need the Sixers to trade up for Markel Fultz for like a year. Like I was all on Markel Fultz. Some say I'm the Markel Fultz of Bloomsburg baseball.
Who says that?
Everyone.
No one says that.
Everyone says it. They walk around the streets thinking like, oh, who is the bigger bust, Markel Fultz or Fritz?
Is there really such thing as bust at Bloomsburg? I feel like the only bust like really comes when someone can't hold down like 2 beers on a Tuesday night.
Well, I don't know. When you had the most money on the team as a freshman and then you were terrible for 2 years, I think that's a pretty big bust. I mean, you'll learn when you get to Stevenson. It's a lot of pressure.
So talking about getting out of the team, and then focusing on radio, how did that start? And then what was it like getting your first job and graduating?
Yeah, so it started, I mean, I listened all the time. When I was up at Bloom, I was listening to Mike and Hike. I was listening to the morning show and all that stuff. So I was listening to the radio all the time, like in between classes, walking around, listening to all the shows. And I just, in the summers, I would make dog bones with my dad. But I would like literally just I was in a church kitchen for 8 hours a day, making these dog biscuits for my dad's company. and I would just listen to the radio all day long. So I think I developed a little bit there. And then just at school, I was doing a radio show. I was doing a podcast. I was writing, all of that fun stuff. And then I was lucky enough to get an internship after my junior year. And I met Marks and I met Seltzer there, James Seltzer, the midday show producer, and just create a kind of a friendship with those guys. Kept in contact with them when I went back to school. And after my senior year, I was out for 8 months. I didn't do anything. I was again making dog biscuits, and I was driving Uber when Uber was just starting. But I was still podcasting and writing and all that fun stuff. I was just waiting to kind of see if I can work my way in. And then Seltzer and Marks helped me get a job on the street team at WIP. So the street team is basically like you go to all the events where we have live broadcasts, like Chickies and some like grocery stores and all of that stuff. And you set up and you tear down, and you're just there like 2 hours before the broadcast, 2 hours after, setting up and all that stuff. So that was kind of my foot in the door. And then once I had my foot in the door, I just started grinding, and I was there all the time. I started producing, and slowly but surely I worked my way up from there.
What was your college podcast called?
Like the Philly Fix with the PH. I thought it was the coolest thing.
It's not as original as the Night Crier podcast, where we literally write for the Night Crier, so we decided to call it the Night Crier podcast.
It is not as original as that. It's definitely sounds cooler than the Philly Fix, which is like so corny, but whatever. It was at Bloomsburg, so not everyone there is a Philly sports fan. So it was a good learning experience though.
How would you describe your relationship with John and Ike?
It's great. I mean, John and I have known each other for a while, and he's kind of the first person I would say that ever kind of believed in me as a radio person. I remember I was interning on his show, and I messed up like podcasting something, and he like DM'd me like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I messed up," and he was like, "Oh, it's all good. Can you come in early and meet or something? Or no, after the show tomorrow, can we meet about something?" And I was like, "Oh, great. I'm going to get fired. Like I messed something up terribly." And we were just sitting there, and he was like, "I think you have a future in this. And like, I think you could be good at this." So, we've known each other for a long time. And even when he was hosting afternoons and I was producing evenings, I would still send him like at night. I'll get home around 12. I'll get home around 1 a.m. And I would kind of send him show ideas, and I would send him what I would do and kind of teasable stuff that you can talk about the next day. So I developed a good relationship with him just throughout the years of working and being radio guys. And then Ike, like I love Ike. Like he is hilarious. And I didn't know him before I started working at WIP. I knew who he was and all that stuff. And I think when I first started on the show, he'd been pretty used to Ben and Turtle, whatever, his other producers. And I think he kind of viewed me as I was Marks's guy, and I was just there to help out Marks and whatnot. But I think we've developed a really good relationship where we can like talk about a lot of things, and I think I've built some trust with him from that standpoint. And now I feel like I'm a good friend of both of them. And working with those guys every day is just a blessing. So our relationship is great show wise.
I was talking with one of my friends who went to LaSalle. He now goes to Syracuse after our Marks interview, and we were just talking about the show in general. And he's like, honestly, like I love Jack, like just how he's sarcastic and just kind of puts in at any point. Like it really adds an element to the show. Also, I'm pretty sure that's the night you told me North Penn was a baseball school, which I took deep offense to, but that's for another day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, they win state championships.
All right. Well, when you have a top 2 team in the country recruiting from California a mile away in prep, it's not as easy, man.
Listen, that sounds like an excuse.
All right. Well, you were a bust at Bloomsburg, so.
I know. I know. I'm full of excuses. Anytime you need an excuse, I'm an excuse machine.
Point is, on the show, how did you learn to get into that role of not being only the producer, but kind of like that third voice that people like listen in for sometimes?
For me, like, I don't know. I've always kind of been this way, where it's like kind of I don't know if I'm arrogant, but like I'm not really arrogant, but people think I am more than I really am. So I kind of have that. I've kind of had that thing going for a little bit. But honestly, I developed a lot of it on Julio's show. Obviously, I worked with Julio for about a year. I think about a year and a half. And Joe is so serious all the time, like just straight sports takes, and you know he's amazing at it. But I was kind of, my role was to like kind of be his foil, but also liven the show up and kind of have a little, make some laughs and stuff. So I kind of developed it from that standpoint of just how to kind of make people laugh on the radio. But also, like, I listened to when Part of My Take first came out in like 2015, 2016 or whatever. Like, I listened to that a lot, and I kind of took some of the stuff they did and some of the stuff I liked that they did and tried to incorporate it in radio because I hadn't really heard it before. So yeah, I just kind of developed that over the years. And then with Ike, like, making Ike laugh is like the funnest thing ever, because like he like his whole body moves when he laughs. Like, he's not just like a ha ha chuckle guy. Like, he is like clapping and like head down and all of that, and it's awesome. So I try to add that in. And honestly, like on Marks and Reese, like sometimes the arguments get like so intense, or where I'm like, let me just throw a little something in there to kind of make sure that they're not just screaming for like 10-15 minutes straight. So it really just, it developed from, it's kind of who I am, but also just in working with Julio and kind of taking that style to Marks and Reese.
There you go.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just gonna